MegaHerzzz. You're listening to MegaHerzzz on 4ZZZ.
You are tuned into MegaHerzzz here on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. My name is August. My pronouns are they, them.
My name is Charlotte, and my pronouns are she, they.
I'm Sarah, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Claire, and my pronouns are she, her.
I would just like to acknowledge the lands on which we are on today, the Turrbal and the Yagara people. Just pay our respects to these beautiful lands that we live, broadcast, create on, and acknowledge all the elders past and present for all the wonderful work they do on country.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a couple topics that we're chatting about today. I hope you stay tuned in because we're going to have a bit of a chat about the Manosphere.
And we're going to talk with you right now about Victoria Park.
Yeah.
And saving Victoria Park Barambam.
Yes.
There was like an event. And the event was for, no Olympics on stolen land. So they've, written this song and put it on Bandcamp. And I think all the proceeds from the Bandcamp release are going towards the, Save Victoria Park legal funds to, support that, funding for the First Nations people to protect that land. Because the land, I think it's... The Chrysophilia and the state government have just decided to override 15 legislations in order to use that space for a stadium or something for the Olympics.
Obviously, the Olympics are the most important thing. Sarcasm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's pretty crazy because I feel like it would not necessarily serve the community in any sense, and I feel like there's not been any consultation or much. It's kind of just for the interest of Olympics, and it's
yeah, she's very right. She's very much got a point there. Well, we wanted to have a bit of a chat about the Manosphere and Manosphere related things, because as many of you may know, there was a recent Louis Theroux documentary that got released that went all about the Manosphere. Charlotte, do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, so I watched the Louis Theroux documentary the other day. I believe it came out last week. Where he basically is doing his classic style and investigating what is known as the Manosphere, which is basically kind of the term coined for a group of male influencers generally who are really focused on kind of making content around gender politics. They kind of focus a lot on how gender politics have gone out of hand, and they do a lot of kind of what they call red pill content, which is kind of trickling down from incel culture. They do a lot of stuff around appearance and money and fame and getting girls, and men are domineering, all that kind of stuff. And so the Manosphere basically describes this kind of part of the internet. And in the documentary, Louis basically follows, I would say maybe 4 main influencers quite closely, and then interacts with a few different ones throughout the documentary. But he goes into their homes, he kind of has chats with them about he sort of is just asking them about their views, kind of following them around their life, trying to sort of, investigate why they're doing these things, why they think these things, how, the effects they might have on the people around them. It's a pretty interesting documentary. I found it's obviously very hard to watch in that you kind of... the things that these people say are quite, it's delusional, really. It's all these men being he, introduces his girlfriend, and he's like, this is my dishwasher, and you're like, oh, that's, wow, God. Lovely, thank you. But then they're also, Louis kind of does a good job at poking at, how actually insecure they are, and he kind of brings in other elements of kind of pointing to how, racist all of them have become. A lot of them seem to have gone from this Manosphere content down conspiracy theory stuff, and now they're being really anti-Semitic, and they're believing all these underground conspiracy theories. It's quite fascinating. So the 4 kind of main ones he talks through, there's an influencer called, I don't even know any of the names, but there's
I see they've had huge influence on you.
Huge influence on me, but I mean, that was something that I found really fascinating about the documentary, is they I think that I previously had assumed that the Manosphere was like this corner of the internet that everyone knows they're silly and no one actually listens to them and blah, blah, blah. But these people are so much more mainstream than we actually think. And they are going out in the streets of, like, everywhere they live. Like, he's all across the world. Like, I think he's in the UK at one point. He's in Spain at one point. And there are young teenage boys coming up to them everywhere they go in public saying, I love you guys so much. Like, there are men, like, coming up to these people all the time. And so...
That was something
yes.
that I have seen people pointing out as well, is that they had lots of people coming up to them, and they were mostly teenagers,
like little boys, like they were quite
they were
young.
like not adults. They were young.
And I was just
men
so
and boys.
surprised, that people actually kind of listen to these people. Like, I don't know, I think you were just like, that's silly. And so I think it is actually a really important documentary, kind of bringing all this into the mainstream for people to actually be able to talk about it. Because, I imagine if I was a parent, like, I wouldn't even know half these people and know to look out for them in, my children's content and all that kind of stuff. But just a lot of the views they were talking about were very, obviously, frustrating. Like, a through line of a lot of them are that, a lot of them engaged in what they call, like, one-way monogamy, where they were like... Yes, I'm allowed to get with whoever I want, and I'm allowed to sleep with whatever women I want, but my wife or my girlfriend is not allowed to do that. She is mine only. Yes.
I saw the justification for that as not even trying to say that, not as she's not allowed, but why would she want to? There's no reason that she would want to, but it's it's a man thing to want to be non-monogamous, and no woman would ever really want that, so we don't even need to talk about that. They did need to talk about that because she did leave him.
She did leave him. Yes, there is a part of the documentary.
She should.
I think they accidentally talked about it on the show.
And then Louis wasn't allowed to talk to her for the rest of the documentary, which I found out interesting. So they have a conversation basically where he goes to this guy's girlfriend. He's a podcaster. And he's talking about the one-way monogamy kind of thing. And then so Louis starts talking to his girlfriend, and he goes, and she's like, I don't really mind because I'm the one that, he's with at the end of the day, like, I'm his one kind of person. And then Louis goes, he has said that he is interested in having multiple wives. Like, he's interested in being married to multiple women. Like, what do you think about that? And she's like, actually, like, I'm not. Like, I actually don't want that.
And then, not so into that.
Yeah, and then they get a bit, like, defensive, and then he's like, you're not allowed to talk to her again. And then at the end of the documentary, they're like, she left him.
As she should.
Yeah, so there's a lot of frightening content that I think young boys in particular, I mean, I know that there's like a lot of women maybe consuming this content, and I think we can talk a little bit about the effects it has, I think, on like trad wife culture and like all that kind of stuff with young women as well, and the ways that it is influencing all the different parts of our society in ways that I think I maybe didn't realise how much it actually was affecting the people around us as much. So I'd be really interested to hear everyone's thoughts, maybe even on the trad wife stuff. It's something I've noticed a lot, at least on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this kind of comes out after, I think a few weeks ago, there was a big thing in the news cycle about a study that found that almost a third of Gen Z men agree that a wife should obey her husband, which is really terrifying.
See, this is not a new concept, though. No. Like, this is something that is literally written in the Bible. That, a lot of Western laws are actually built on this.
Yes.
So
but I think people have maybe incorrectly been assuming that kind of thoughts have been like dissipating with the younger people, and I think we're like, that's the older generation's like thoughts, but
that's what fascinates me is that I mean, like, there's nothing new in the Manosphere.
Absolutely
revelation.
not.
There is nothing new or exciting or interesting about it. But what is exciting? Well, not exciting. What is interesting and devastating about it is the prevalence and is the way that it seems to be so so everywhere, so and kind of background and taken for granted, and whereas I'm shocked to see that it's still alive and well, anywhere.
I think the internet really gives like kind of a platform to like anyone can kind of have a platform on the internet, and I think if you're and a lot of them are like selling lots of products, like they're also selling stuff to like try and make young boys want like they're selling like stocks, apps and cryptocurrency and all that kind of stuff. So they're really selling like an image that I think it's good marketing, right? Like it gets people into it, and I think the internet gives an opportunity in a way that previously, like maybe obviously there were so many people and communities that thought these things, but I think maybe it wasn't able to get into the mainstream as much as the internet has allowed male influencers to do. Yeah,
and again, nothing new. You know, they're selling a lifestyle. They're saying, hey, people who are feeling disenfranchised, who are feeling less than, and you know, you're feeling like your life's not quite working out. Yeah. Here is an ideal picture of somebody who is living the dream, has got it all, is successful,
getting as many women as I want. I'm rich. I've got fancy cars. Like,
all that kind of thing. So that is also not new in any case. It's almost like the model of the beauty industry.
Absolutely.
that we have been up against for so long. It's almost like they've taken that model and gone, how can we apply it in a fresh, old, fresh but kind of stale way, and use those techniques and see if we can apply it over here.
It's just a new audience to market to, really. You know, it's like kind of shows how like the ways in which capitalism is like kind of woven into everything, and like links to all of these ideals about women, and like these like messed up ideas of like what they want a woman to be. It's all interconnected.
Yeah. And I mean, there's even like, speaking of like the beauty thing, like just like the whole like looks maxing and like gym culture.
Oh my god, like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you guys know about this guy?
And it's been going for like years and years. I feel like back when I was in high school, all the guys at my school were like kind of already into this, like all of this stuff. Because there was like Andrew Tate and like all of that like base red pill like thing on the internet.
Absolutely. Yeah, because when did he get big? Like maybe post-COVID possibly.
Yeah, it was like 2021, 2022, something like that.
Yeah, so it's definitely been building, I think, for a really long time. And it's really I think because we have let it kind of sit in the like, oh, this is like no one actually believes this, blah blah blah. I think it really has allowed it to fester and like become really mainstream in a way that it wasn't before. I'm not sure.
Can we just have a little bit of an explanation about looks maxing and this kind of aspect that you're talking about here?
It is kind of a crazy sounding term. Like if you don't know, from my understanding, looks maxing is like basically it's like the male version of like the beauty industry, and
it's like all about like self-improvement, like the image of like the alpha male, like reaching like peak masculinity. You're getting like the jawline and you're like the muscle to build, like
they like basically have the ideal kind of look, and they do all these weird things to get there. Like now they're doing Ozempic, like all these things, but it's like going to the gym, doing all these things, like holding your jaw in a particular way that makes it feel more defined, things like that.
Some of them literally hit their face with hammers.
I really hope that's exaggerated. And
that's a legit thing.
But I mean, it's not too hard to imagine someone doing that.
But it had its roots in incel. Like it is an incel. The maxing kind of term is an incel term. So it has come from that community, which is involuntary celibate. If people don't know, basically was I think it's not as relevant now with the manosphere, but it was kind of the origins of the manosphere, and that it was men who for whatever reason weren't being able to, for whatever reason, because they were weird, they weren't being able to date women, and they thought that they had a right to women's bodies, and they thought that they basically were involuntary celibate, as in like I can't get anyone, and now I'm upset about it, and now I hate women, and blah blah blah.
You know, I'm actually I was just looking at a report from the UN about the manosphere, and they were talking about the term involuntary celibates, and until now I just thought that was an insult people threw it at people. I didn't realise it was like a self-claimed,
because they were
like
saying
a title,
like,
saying
I'm not like
I shouldn't be, but I am.
Yes, and it was actually a term that was coined by a woman, which is very interesting, just describing her own experience. But of course, men like to take
I always
things
thought it was I thought it was an insult.
No, they basically use it as a justification for hating women and being like, look, like women get to choose. Their big thing is like women get to choose whoever they want to have as a partner, and women have all the power because they have sexual currency. and then they kind of go in these deep rabbit holes where they like don't talk to women, they think all women are bad, and then it's self-fulfilling, because then obviously women don't want to talk to you because you're being weird and you're calling me like a foid, like they have all these really specific terms that get picked up into the mainstream and now are really big parts of the manosphere. Like that's where the red pill stuff also comes from, which is from the Matrix.
Yes. I can never tell which is the good one, the red one or the blue one.
The incels
is there a green pill?
have taken the red incels have taken the red pill, which means that they are seeing the world better than everyone else is, and everyone's being tricked by the mainstream media to think that
seeing the truth.
Yes, they think gender equality is like a made-up thing that we've pushed on them, and
and I mean, a lot of this stuff, all of its origins are often in like 4chan, which is like
Reddit.
Basically the precursor to Reddit, and is also where a lot of like. There's like a lot of like race science stuff going on there, like full conspiracy theory, and that's another way in which they're interlinked. Like all of these ideologies kind of come from the same birthplace and from these same like
and Louis touches on that in the documentary. He makes the link, like they then start being really anti-Semitic.
Now I was thinking this when we were saying a moment ago about the whole looks maxing thing. We're saying that there's a perfect vision of masculinity, and it looks like this, and it has great cheekbones, and it has, it goes to the gym, and it looks like. I'm like, where have I heard that before?
Eugenics.
Oh,
It's eugenics.
Oh, the Nazis.
Everything
so
kind
we
of comes
come
back.
full circle.
Absolutely.
It's a very small circle, but we've come full circle.
And a lot of them are now really like one of the influences they spoke to in the documentary. He kind of used to be really focused on manosphere stuff, but now has really switched. Now he's like just very pro-Trump. Like he's kind of gone down that angle, and he's just kind of going straight conservative in general things. And he was like talking about like the Illuminati, and like he was looking at all these magazine covers, and he was like, look, they always cover one eye, and that means like they're saluting to the evil Illuminati or what. And so Louis was like, do you really believe these things? And he's like, so it kind of is just talking about that pipeline from like, oh, I'm a bit sad that I can't get girls, and now you're a full-on Trumpy conservative conspiracy theorist. It was very fascinating. And in the documentary as well, he kind of make some connections to like some of the men maybe coming from. He was like, a lot of them seem to have not had father figures, like they've come from broken homes. He's kind of trying to like take that angle I
feel like a lot of those like male like influencers, I've seen a lot of them like trying to like spin it in like, oh, we're being positive because like I'm like, oh, the woman should be building the home because like, oh, I love my mom and like love your mom, but then it's like this whole thing of like, this is what the woman's role is, and like you should like respect women, but in this sense because they're fulfilling the family.
There's a lot of blame on single mothers as well.
Well, one guy has his mum in the documentary, like because Louis says like, he's like, what would your mum like think of all the stuff you're saying? And he's like, oh, my mum's like a massive feminist, like she would hate it. And you're like, wow, that is very fascinating.
Do you think she doesn't have Netflix?
Well, but then she joins the documentary, and she sort of like, like they talk, like she does disagree with something. He says something homophobic, and she's basically like, why would you say that? Like, that's ridiculous. But then Louis kind of takes an attack on him, and then she gets really defensive, and she's like, oh, well, you're profiting off this stuff in the same way that he's profiting off it, and you're all just doing it for money kind of thing. So I thought that was an interesting angle. I
feel like it's a lot of like, not even just like the internet, it's like a lot of real life like groups of like, it's like guys kind of like interacting with each other in real life, and they spread the thing, and it's like reinforcing each other kind of.
Absolutely.
Like even if you're not on the internet, you're not on like that side of TikTok, you still get it like kind of like in schools and stuff. I feel like that's like a lot of teenagers just kind of, they just have that around them.
Well, I mean, teenage, like, you copy what your friends think. Like, I feel like when you're a teenager, like, your friends are so important to you, and you're like, well, like, this is what my friends believe. Like, I'm going to learn more about it, and then this is what we all think, and then, it gets spread amongst all the young boys and stuff.
I feel like even like just like the classroom, like at least at my school, I feel like the teachers kind of really like, oh, we need to promote critical thinking, so we're gonna have open discussions about everything, and everyone can speak whatever they wanna, type of thing. So they were like trying to fight against that, or like, oh, this is what's right. But then that led to like a lot of the guys who have like, oh, that barrier, just kind of like speaking it out, and then it's like this whole culture in the school.
I mean, there's a lot of statistics showing that like a lot of like female teachers and stuff are leaving because the attitudes of young boys now are like getting so horrific.
And there's a lot of like male teachers are slightly promoting it. Like at my school, all the guy teachers were like, and then like the finance teacher would like tell the guys to get onto crypto and like get into stocks, and then the philosophy teacher would be like, based in red pill, and like start talking about Andrew Tate.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy.
How can you bring up Andrew Tate in a school setting, particularly him when he's like known for being
He's a human
horrific?
trafficker.
He's
He's literally like on the run of the arrest to be a human trafficker.
Like
the
kind of the one of the most famous and also one of the most notoriously bad guys in this whole red pill sphere. How on earth can you talk about him and promote him in a school environment?
I think that there's two very different things there. I think talking about him is probably a good idea. And from an education point of view, but promoting and talking about, you know, hey, here's a positive influence for you. Not so
I feel like it's a lot of like PE teachers, because I feel like most in the school it's like the male teachers, a lot of them are like the PE teachers, and they're all like kind of like gym bros themselves. They like have that whole focus on like, you know, the gym and like sports and like playing footy, and like that kind of goes into like the guys are all like, oh, this teacher's like awesome. And
there was another really interesting element in the documentary where which I didn't know about, but all of the Manosphere guys also do these things where they basically like set up predator stings where they like will get someone to be chatting with an older man, and they basically lure them in and then beat them up to be like they're a pedophile.
Not new,
but it's like just a weird part of like all this influencer stuff of like, and we were kind of talking about it at work, and I was like, is it just we want to beat up people and we want violence, but this is the only kind of acceptable outlet for it now? I'm not really sure. It was very strange, and so it was like, and I think it was a bit homophobic as well. It was like,
that's a lot homophobic.
Messaging. Like some of it was like, oh, like you came here to meet a 12-year-old boy, but then some of it was just like, oh lol, like you came here to have sex with a man, like we're gonna beat you up. Like it was very strange, and it was an element I hadn't really like heard of in this Manosphere kind of thing. But yet they make content about it and they post about it and like do lives about it, and it's very strange.
Surely that's like you're live streaming like a crime.
So they would live stream it and then immediately delete it, but then obviously they clip all the stuff from I don't really know how it works.
I feel like surely like a lot of the viewers would like kind of view it as like a thing of like, oh, justice and like
yes, that's what I think.
Like there's a lot of that like virtue ethics language getting used.
Men are protectors, men are like I think it's part of that kind of gender stereotyping.
100%.
It also sounds like that kind of thing in general is set up so that it's very, very hard, very, very hard to disagree with there as well.
Absolutely. So that you're like, what, do you support pedophiles?
Yeah, that's right. That's what that's the comeback, isn't it? That's the defence. So it's not are you against us entrapping people and beating them up, and it is
promoting violence and promoting that as a way to get what you want, or protect people or whatever.
Absolutely. I will just mention we've had a lovely text in from Kate Dizarens. Thank you, Kate. And she said some Australian judges still believe that rape in marriages is a contradiction, as though consent is not legally relevant for married women. So men's rights is alive and well in the law.
Absolutely. I mean, that was only even like abolished, technically removed in law in like the 90s, right? Like that was very common. But yeah, it's still, I think, and that was very much a through line in this documentary was, they all believed that they had ownership over their wives and that they ultimately were the decision makers. And with all those statistics you shared before.
100%.
Yeah. And I think that this is, that they make a really good point there, because we're like shocked that this is happening and that this is nothing new. This is this is very much in line with many of our current laws and with our society. So why are we surprised?
I mean, and we like every week on the show we discuss the femicide, and I think that is a very kind of, I think you can draw a very direct through line from misogynistic beliefs to violence against women and death of women, and it's very clearly in the law, and
I feel like the way that like a lot of guys they interact with like how they think of like laws and stuff is like they want to seem really intellectual. They feel like they're the guys with the knowledge, and they it's like the whole red pill thing where they're seeing the truth, and I feel like that's like how a lot of philosophy gets brought into like Nietzsche and like Plato, like all of that like philosophy. They then spin it and they're like, oh well, like this is the law because this is philosophy and this is knowledge and this is like factual beneficial because it aligns with like morals and like things, and yeah.
There really is a romanticization of that, like kind of like ancient Greek kind of.
Absolutely,
like,
and I feel like that
philosophies
plays into like how they like kind of like talk about things like laws and like how things ought to be, because it's like, oh well, this is like the universal moral law. This is like how it is, like objectively, kind of.
Yeah, 100%. All right, should we go to a song? Yeah, we have had a big long chat there. Thank you very much for texting in. And if you ever want to be a part of the conversation here on MegaHerzzz, you can text in on 0420 626 733. And, you know, if you ever want to have your name pop up when you text in, like the lovely Kate, you can subscribe for as little as $25. And also, we have April Atonement coming up very soon, which, if you are not aware, April is a month where we really, really push subscribing to 4ZZZ, and there's a bunch of really fun prizes, so you are going to want to stick around for that. I believe either the next show or the next couple of shows that we have, I forget. It's the 23rd. I think we have another show in March, but we'll tell you about that at the time. And during that, we got a new subscriber. Yay! Thank you so much to Raina from Lutwich. Obviously, we are a community radio station, so we run off of subscriptions largely. And like we said before, you can subscribe for as little as $25. Concessions are $40 and full subscriptions are $80. And we have a whole bunch of different price points. And if you really want to, you can be a super sub and then you get your name written in gold.
My favourite is the passionate subscriber. Not only is it the best name subscription, but you also get the T-shirt.
Hell yeah!
I just love the T-shirts. Got to have the T-shirt.
We do have an excellent merch selection here at 4ZZZ. But yes, we don't actually have too much time left, but we do make it a priority here at MegaHerzzz to report on the ongoing femicide that happens in so-called Australia. Every week we report on women who have been killed. If this is a sensitive topic for you, please feel free to tune out for the next couple minutes and come back in a little bit. Please look after yourself. We will read out some hotlines after this. But yeah, it's just important news.
Yeah, so look, we were talking about the Manosphere earlier today, and look, it is, you know, a direct effect of that kind of thinking, of control, you know, of entitlement, that leads us to have such a high femicide count in Australia. And look, it is a huge problem, and it is something that people like Sherele Moody have been petitioning to have formal inquiries into, but yet we just see people throwing up their hands and going, well, what are you going to do? What can you do? But you know, there is a lot that you can do, and one of those things is make a formal inquiry into it. So, you know, a direct you know, effect of that kind of thinking is things like we have had an unnamed woman who died. We don't have full details, but we know that it was an unlawful death in Banksia Grove in WA on Thursday. So a 42-year-old woman who has not been named. Police did come to the scene. Police and the ambulance attended the scene, and they administered first aid, but she died at the scene. A man known to her, and you will hear that a lot in these segments, a man known to her, a 47-year-old man, also from Banksia Grove, has been charged with manslaughter and is due to appear in the Perth Magistrate Court on Saturday. So, yeah, that is the tragic kind of consequence that we see from that kind of thinking.
Yeah, 100%. And we've got some hotlines up. If you or somebody that you know are in danger in a domestic violence situation, please don't hesitate to call 1-800-RESPECT, which is 1-800-737-732. We also have the Lifeline, which is 131114, and there's also Men's Line, which is 1300-789-978. Just trying to see if I don't have any other ones in front of me, but those ones are incredibly important. And yeah, please take care of yourselves, look after those around you, and yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Isn't that what feminism is about?